And we are recording.
I'm
Mr.
ready.
Bow. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah. This is my sexy voice.
That's right. Now, I have to ask, is that a full turtleneck or a half chub you got there? I can't
As
quite.
half chub. I think they're called chodes. This is a chode sweater.
It's a chode sweater. There you go.
It's
That's
like
much better.
it's girthy, but short.
That's right. That's
Like
right.
Ron Prendamano.
It's exactly like that. I was just thinking the same thing. We are simpatico there.
He's one of my favorite people. I love him to pieces.
Shout out to Ron Prendamano. It's 3 inches tall, but 9 inches wide.
Yes.
and we're gonna do this in 3, 2, 1.
What are you doing?
Testes in my mouth.
Get on the ground, you fucking pledge!
Ew.
Welcome to the greatest podcast experience of your life. This is the Frat Chat Podcast.
All young men like 3 things. Food, booze, pussy.
Featuring Carlos Garcia and Chris Moore.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the greatest podcast in the history of podcasting time. It's the Frat Chat Podcast. I'm Carlos Garcia with Chris CMO Moore. How's it going, Mr. Mo?
I'm good, thanks. But I have to say, you sound like you might be under the weather a little bit. You sound like me.
I know. I feel
always
like I
sick.
should be like blowing my nose right now or something. I think I have to say I have like a hangover induced like lowering of my immunities that got me sick or something at the bar, because for the first time in forever, I went out on a Thursday
Nice.
with our college friends, and I was out till fucking 4 a.m, which I haven't done in maybe like 10 years. Like, I don't remember my last like thirsty Thursday. Remember that? That's what they used to call them
Oh yeah.
back in the day. Maybe they're still thirsty. I don't know. I don't know what the
There was
kids
a
call
bar
thirsty.
in College Park called the Thirsty Turtle, I think. Remember
We
that?
have the green turtle. Oh, the thirsty turtle.
Yeah.
That sounds nice. It's an alcoholic turtle. It's like
I think I threw up there one time.
All right. Actually, wait. I might have gone to this thirsty turtle. Now I'm having a weird flashback of another very drunk night in College Park.
You know,
And it might
I
have
was
been
in
there.
College Park one time when they shut the campus down because of a mountain lion, a cougar. And I was in their library. I didn't go to this school, obviously, but my best friend at the time did. And so I was visiting her, and we weren't allowed to leave the library. And we're looking out the window, and we saw this alleged mountain lion. It was someone's like savannah cat. It was just a cat, like a big cat, like
the fat
sitting
cat.
down, like licking his paw. And we're like, we can't leave because we can't leave the premises because of this. Kidding me?
To be fair, in that situation, might be a better safe than sorry kind of a thing. Because if it was a fucking mountain lion, there was a story not that long ago, maybe a year or two ago, that guy who had to choke one out. But like
Mhm.
a lot of people don't react that way, and there was a lot of, you don't know what you're gonna do until you're faced with a fucking mountain lion. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, fight or flight is real. So I don't know. I can't say what I would do. I would hope to choke it out, but who knows? Might be fucked.
You know what?
So-
A long time ago, I was in Chicago, and someone pulled an alligator, or it's not an alligator, it's not a crocodile, but it's something similar out of like the Chicago River. Someone had
Oh.
had a pet, and then they just let it go free, and then it got big.
Ooh. Wow.
You
That's
know what I'm talking about?
terrifying.
I think Adolf had one as a pet because he used to feed it mice, and then one time I watched it feed, and I cried. I went to the bathroom and I cried because I felt so bad. This little like alligator took this mouse and drowned it, and I could see it struggling. It was so sad. It like played with its food. I felt so bad for it that I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. I don't feel good, and I just cried in the bathroom like a little
Is it like a
bitch.
bearded dragon?
No, it's called I'll find it. Let's see. So
Or an iguana?
what is like an alligator?
Or a Komodo dragon?
Let's see.
Those are terrifying.
Let's see. I'll find it. But it's caiman.
Oh shit! He had a caiman.
Yep.
You can have those.
Little tiny ones.
What?
And then I think that they grow according to like their environment. So if you keep it in a small enclosure, it stays small. And then once it gets the bigger enclosure, it gets bigger. I think some reptiles like grow according to like their, their cage.
And was it the caiman lizard or a caiman crocodile?
Crocodile.
Holy shit, dude! What? That's crazy. I had no idea you could fucking buy those. Yeah, they are cute.
I'm not sure if it's legal, but he definitely had one. I mean, like, he was a cool guy. So like, it's definitely like a cool Snapple fact to share at a party. Like, yeah, I have an alligator at home. That's pretty cool to say, I guess.
Yeah, but that's still what the fuck, man. That's weird. Anywho, it is time now to hear from you guys. Emails from the listeners. See if you can top this weird. But why don't we start with you, Mr. Mo? I got
With
a
me?
good one.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy. I have a good main event here.
I picked this one because I think that you could chime in. Okay, so this is from Travis from South Bend, Indiana, home of Mike Pence.
Crooked wieners.
And yeah, home of crooked wieners, Mike Pence, and his pet rabbit, and his wife that he calls mother. What a fucking weirdo, right? Like, yikes.
Come on, mother, it's time for bed.
Yeah, so weird. And then I will never forget the fly on his head. Remember the fly during the vice president debate? That was so funny.
That was the most legendary fly in American history.
You know what?
The fly won the Congressional Medal of Freedom.
I will say that it was that administration, 2016 and 2020, 2020, right? Yeah. So 2016 to 2020 was probably the best like comedy from the White House ever. Like when they had the fly, hilarious. When they had that press conference at the Four Seasons like landscaping company,
oh god,
hilarious.
Yeah.
Like what's his face? Giuliani with his hair dye dripping down his face.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Like Donald Trump looking.
How did that get allowed to come back, dude? Like that downfall was so hilariously epic, and then people were like, let's bring it back.
Donald Trump looking at the solar eclipse. Hilarious. Like all these things were so funny. Anyway, okay, so Travis from South Bend, Indiana, he said, "Dear Frat Chat, would you consider a pet to be comparable to a child? This was a debate amongst friends. I don't have children, but I have a puppy. That is my baby. Is it fair for my friends to prioritize their child's needs over my puppy's needs? Am I crazy for having this unconditional love for my pooch? What are your thoughts?" Travis from South Bend, Indiana. I'm interested in what you have to say because you have a dog. You know, I think that whether you have a puppy or a child or a bedridden grandma at home, like love is love, you know what I mean? Like, and so and priorities are your priorities, and it's personal. So
Totally.
I do think that if someone were to say, listen, like my goldfish means everything to me, that's a little bit weird.
Totally. But a dog is like it's a dog is like a forever baby. You know what I mean? Like look at my coffee mug. Look at that.
I've never met your dog in
Julie
person.
got me that.
That's very
cute.
That is
so cute. She got it for me this year, and it's a dog is a forever baby.
Julie's
they always
best.
depend
That's
on
very
you.
thoughtful.
Totally right. That's such a good gift. And like, a dog will always need you to feed it, take care of it and shit. Like a kid will grow up, leave the nest, and a dog never will. And the thing is, you have a dog for a limited, much shorter time in your life. Hopefully, obviously, shit can go wrong with the child. Not to get dark, but shit can happen at any time. But normally speaking, the child will live much longer and grow up and eventually have their own kids. The dog will be your baby forever. So I don't know. I feel like it's unfair when people are like, "Ugh, well, my kid's more important." Like, whatever, fuck off. Like, it's like, but I also want to know in like what way are your friends for this listener putting their child's needs over your dog's? Because it's like if I gotta go home to feed Stella, like I gotta go home to feed Stella. You know what I mean? Like not my friend's kid's need isn't gonna change that. So at some point you gotta just draw a line in the sand and be like, what do you want me to do? Fucking let my dog starve to death? Like I gotta go.
Yeah, I think that I mean, obviously it's harder to raise a child. You know what I mean? Because you're not
Yeah.
you're not sitting down doing math homework with a dog, and you're not teaching a dog how to
You'd be surprised. Stella's a fucking genius.
and you're not teaching a dog
Stella
how
did
to
my taxes this
budget.
year.
Yeah, you're not like you're not taking your dog to like dropping them off at homecoming. There's a lot of things that are very different. But I do think that like if if I were to say to my friends, I gotta get going, like you said, I have to get going because I gotta let my dog out or I gotta feed my dog. If someone was like, whatever, it's just a dog, I would definitely take offense to that.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not a dog and a baby are comparable, I think there's some similarities, but I do think children require a lot more attention than dogs. But I don't think that one's love for a child should be compared to one's love for a dog. I mean, love it's all
Totally.
relative, you know.
Totally. I
So
will
I
say at first, those first few weeks, a puppy, you need just as much as attention as a baby. But the thing is, the puppies, it's just like every other animal. Like humans are the only fucking animal that it takes us forever to fucking grow and like be useful, like months to be able to hold your goddamn head. Like, for example, baby horses are walking in minutes, galloping next to their fucking moms. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like puppies, same thing. There is that period of time where you fucking can't let go of looking at where your puppy is because it'll get into something, it'll choose something, it'll eat something, or it'll poop every 15 minutes because it fucking doesn't digest food right just yet. Like you gotta fucking know exactly what your puppy's doing at all times, just like a baby. But like I said, the puppy grows out of that way quicker. So the first 3 months with a puppy are difficult. After that, they kind of start getting into a routine. They grow up a little more. They're bigger. They can hold it. Meanwhile, a baby, it's like the first like 2 years, they're just fucking useless. And then they become the terrible twos, where then they just become little monsters. And it's just it kind of goes like that. So yeah, babies are definitely harder and it's a longer care process where you have to be like their absolute everything, even hold their goddamn heads and wipe their asses and shit, you know? So I get it, but hey man, to each their own.
now where
Not
do you
everybody
draw
can
the
have
line?
kids, not everybody wants kids, you know?
Like, I would give leeway if someone was like, "My puppy's my everything."
Yeah,
Now
hell yeah.
now cats, I think a little bit more, I think a cat is a
Independent.
little bit more, like, independent compared to a dog, but I
Yeah.
would give someone leeway if they're like, "Oh my god, my cat's my everything." Okay, but what
Totally.
about, like, a gerbil or, like, a rabbit or, like, a
Actually,
lizard or
gerbils are very sweet creatures, I will say, and they remember things and remember you and love you. But with a gerbil, for example, you just like have its little thing, like its pellets that you just leave out there for it, and it fucking eats when it wants, and it's water. So it is easier to care for, I guess. But
you
like if
keep your
someone was
gerbil
like
in
a
a
goldfish,
cage?
like you said earlier, then I'd be like,
You telling me you keep your gerbil in a cage?
well, no,
I've
I have
got
it on my ass right
I was
now.
gonna
So
say,
if it needs
I can think of a
anything,
better spot than that.
if it needs anything, I'll know. We have signals. You know what I mean? There's a lot of nerves in there, so I know exactly what it wants. So
You
if
know
I lift
what?
my leg, it just means it wants to come out. So you just see me
My
like,
gerbil inside my rectum will go dun 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 dun, dun and then I will clench. Eh, eh.
bah, bah.
It's It's a special relationship we have.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. That's very nice. See, me and him have like a ratatouille situation where he just controls my movements via my anal glands, and it's great. It's
Mhm.
fantastic.
Nice.
That's how I make a mean risotto.
Well, this is the face of jealousy right here. That's what that is.
That's right.
Anywho, well, Travis, I think your puppy is important to you, and that's valid. And so
Yeah,
I think your friends are being a little bit mean.
I
And
agree.
some people don't have kids because they can't have kids.
Totally,
I
exactly.
I've
Or
been
want
trying for a
kids.
long
Some
time,
people
but
are
I've
way
never gotten
happy without
pregnant.
them.
Yeah.
I've noticed, like us and all of our friends that don't have kids are aging way better than all my friends that do have kids. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I tell people I'm in my 40s and they're like, there's no way. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't have a
no
kid,
kids, no kids.
you know?
It's a beauty. I
My
will say.
mom, she has a 98 and a 99-year-old aunt and an uncle. And they lived this long because they don't have kids.
Totally. Totally. And I'm not going, I know some beautiful moms. Don't fucking come at us and shit, but I'm just telling you from what I've seen, even like, for example, like went out with some friends. One of them had his lawyer friends. The ones that came out that were married and the ones that came out that were not married, you could tell. The fitness levels, like the bags under their eyes are completely different, and you just knew. Like the hair on their head, it's
Mm-hmm.
kids are fucking stressful and they take away a lot of time in your life. And it's tough to keep up with your fitness if you got to fucking be up at 3 in the morning to feed someone. So I get it. Don't get me wrong, but I have enjoyed not aging terribly without a kid.
So
So
are you telling me that when you get married this August, that's an excuse for you to stop working out?
oof.
Are we expecting to see a very different Carlos on the pod?
No, I can't go back. I can't go back to the COVID weight again. That was terrifying. So I feel like now that I'm like back to like my meathead ways, I'm kind of enjoying it. So we'll see. We'll see after the wedding. But so far, I'd like to think I'm going to keep it up for a while. And that's what she said. But we'll see. Anyways, on to the next one. This one is coming to us from Robert from Florida.
Florida.
America's Wang. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
We came from the home of the Crooked Bends to the America's Wang. So perfect segue. And he goes, "Hey, Frat Chat. I was listening to the recent episode where you read the listener email about the guy at the restaurant with the super fart. And I immediately knew I had to reach out. Not because I could relate, but because I think I may have topped it. Oof.
No.
I was traveling for work recently for an in-person seminar. We had all been sitting in a conference room for over an hour, and let's just say the hotel breakfast was not sitting right with me. I figured I could sneak out a quiet fart and relieve some pressure. Well, it was not quiet, and unfortunately, it also was not alone.
No. Ah!
I'm talking full on disaster. I had completely shit myself in the middle of this packed seminar. Within seconds, people started reacting. You could see it on their faces first. Then the whispering started. People were sniffing the air, looking around, trying to figure out who the culprit was. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there frozen, acting like I'm just as confused as everyone else. I didn't say a word. I just wrote it out until the meeting was finally dismissed. Then made a beeline for the restroom where I had to throw out my underwear and do some serious damage
Oh
control.
God.
Thank God I wore black jeans to work that day. So now I need to know, should I have owned up to it, or did I do the right thing by staying silent and taking this secret to my grave? Love the show, and sorry in advance for this one. Robert from Florida. Yeah, no, you absolutely did the right thing. What the fuck do you think? You're gonna announce that to
100%.
work in that whole seminar and like where people are coming from different states? You're gonna be the guy who shit himself? No, Robert, that would have been awful. Like what?
Let me tell you, if I was at a seminar amongst colleagues that I'm going to see again and they know me, then I'm not saying anything about nothing.
No,
But
fuck no.
if I didn't know anyone and I'm never going to see them again and they don't mean anything to me, then like if I ripped ass, I'd be like, that was me, sorry. you know, who cares? But if you tell anyone in your adult life that you just took a live turd in your drawers, then like you're always gonna be like forever the pooper. You know what I mean?
The pooper. That's exactly it. You're gonna be
Colon
known as the guy who shit himself.
bowling.
Yep. And like here's the thing, it will follow you forever. Like every time you go to get a promotion or something, it'll be like, oh, Robert's up for the vice president job. It's like, isn't he the guy that shit himself back in 2025?
Everyone, Robert's here. Let's give him a round of applause and an anal salute.
That's right. And everybody, Robert's here. He's the number 2 guy in the company. Show him some respect.
That's funny. You know, this happened to me at work one time, my last company, because I I think we've talked about this before, but I was in the habit of not wearing panties because I was wearing such tight jeans. Remember before the pandemic, skinny jeans were like
Skinny
all the
jeans ran,
thing.
dude. I
And I
had
didn't
so
want
many
panty
skinny jeans.
lines. So I wasn't wearing undies. And then we all got sick from this like catered buffet at the corporate office. So we're all in line for this bathroom
Oh
to,
no.
do our business. And when I got there, you know what? Like whenever you see a toilet, it's like now or never. It's like you
Right.
can't get that belt off fast enough. Just
It's
something
true, dude.
psychologically happens once you see the toilet. You're like, it's coming. So
That's right.
it happened to me. I pulled my pants down, sat in the toilet. I took a dump. It was explosive. And then I realized, oh my God, I am wearing panties today, and I didn't pull them down. I
Oh.
crapped in my panties on the toilet. On the toilet.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my
You
God.
just fill up like
Yeah. And at the time, in my mind, I just kept saying to myself, I'm 30. I'm 30. I'm 30 years
Oh.
old. This was 10
Oh,
years ago.
man.
I was like, I'm 30 years old. I can't believe I am 30 years old. So I had to throw my undies away, but the trash can was mesh. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna see this. And so like I just wrapped it around with toilet paper, and then I just dropped it in the trash can, and and people were like, it smells so bad in there. And it's like, yeah, everyone's shitting in there. But no, it was my shit in the trash can,
I have to say, actually, I just went into a barcade on Thursday night, actually, with the guys, my college friends, our college friends, and I went in the bathroom and barcade, it's like single, like it's 1-on-1. They're unisex. You get it what you get. This lady took the first one, so I'm waiting for the second one. Guy comes out, and I go in, and I don't know what that motherfucker ate, and maybe that's why I'm dying today because it smelled like someone had fucking died, and I didn't realize how bad it was until I was mid pee, and then like I started like gagging, like ugh, ugh, and then dry heaving. And then I shit you not, I ended up throwing up because it smelled so goddamn bad in there that it fucking was like I need to like yak, and I hadn't even like been drinking that much at that point. This was early in the evening. It's just this motherfucker, like, goddamn, dude, I have never smelled something so bad. So if you shit yourself at the fucking barcade in World Trade Center on Thursday night around 9:30 p.m., I know it was you, dude. That was
Ugh.
fucking awful. I've never smelled a shit that bad where I'm like fucking dry heaving for
Well,
my life. Like, that
Robert
was
from
bad.
Florida, it sounds like this guy, the beer cage, just topped your story.
Yeah, right.
You know what? Did I tell you about my flight to California?
No.
Carlos, you know how I don't like the sound of barfing, right?
Oh yeah.
It was actually, I don't mind turbulence because I think it feels like a roller coaster. So I'm always like, whatever, it keeps it fun for me, and I can sleep through anything. So like I can't sleep on a plane very well, but like the turbulence doesn't add anxiety to me.
Right.
I'm still relaxed. But
Right.
there was this like this fat fucking toddler behind me. This like kid was way too big. And once they said, help yourself to like the snack locker,
Oh
this
no.
kid kept back and forth, coming back with more chips and more like those like tea cookies, whatever, like just eating so many
No.
snacks. And I thought to myself, this kid's gonna get sick. And I thought to myself, these parents, if you allow your kids to have full reign of snacks, that's child abuse to me, because you're
Yeah.
creating a kid that's gonna have like eating problems for a lifetime. Like, you have to teach them how to eat responsibly, but like to be like, whatever, help yourself. Like, you're whining, so I'll shut you up by giving you more sugar.
Right.
This kid started barfing
Oh,
violently
no.
in the seat
Oh,
behind
no.
me.
Oh,
And
no.
so then other people. I hate that sound. Oh God. Ah. So
I got one. I got one for the story. That's it.
I hate that so much. Okay, so this kid was barfing, and it smelled like bad nachos. I don't know. It smelled horrible. He probably had nachos, like a burrito, before the flight.
Yeah.
Why they serve like burritos at an airport, I'll
I don't
never
know.
understand.
It's a cruel
But
joke.
it smelled really bad, so I was like, "That's pretty gross." So I had my shirt over my nose like this, and I was like, "Whatever, I'll be okay." And I had to put my fingers in my ears so that I couldn't hear it. And like, as long as I don't hear it, I'm fine. But then the person in my row started dry heaving. And then
No.
other people started. It reminded me of that scene from Problem Child 2 where everyone
Yeah,
started
yeah, yeah,
puking.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So then
Like the Sandlot.
yeah. And then the flight attendants were bagging all the vomit, right? And so,
No.
like, I guess this kid barfed more than what could the little barf bag could hold.
No.
So then they were coming back and forth with these plastic bags that were like, they're blue, but like they're clear. So like
Right.
these bags of just like liquid
Chunks.
vomit up and down the aisle. People were barfing in like rows ahead and rows behind. There's so much barfing because of the smell, and barfing because of the sound. Some people, it like triggered like this dry heaving. So I was surrounded by people like barfing, and then a lot of bags back and forth of just like fresh vomit. I've never in a million years thought this would ever happen on a flight. It was like out of a movie. Like, is this really happening?
Wow.
I was like, this is so gross. And I was like,
Wow.
we have 3 more hours left. Like, why?
Oh,
Why?
no. Yeah, no.
And
That
then
is
I took everything in my power not to tell the parents, like, this is your fault. Because the mom and dad were like, how did this happen? I'll tell you how this happened. You allowed your fat fucking little nugget of a bitch kid to like eat like snacks out the wazoo. Like, put a
yeah.
fucking muzzle on that little fucker.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Literally. You at least had to teach your kid. We had an entire episode about this, actually. Fucking look it up. The things not to eat at the airport and the things to eat at the airport.
Yeah.
We did an entire fucking thing on it. Look up out in the archives. I don't know if it was last season or season before. But you got to teach your kid airport etiquette. It's very important. The things to eat, the mistakes not to make, so you're not either puking on a flight or shitting yourself on a flight, and depending on those teeny tiny toilets 20,000 feet above the air. Come on, buddy. It's called parenting. But wow, that sounds awful. Anywho,
Horrible.
it is time to get to the news.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Dance, Michael. Yeah. What? Always got to be ready. Anywho, we got finally an update, a frat chat update on this crazy criminal case that we actually covered when it first broke.
Mm-hmm.
Justice moves slow, but it does move. Because remember that Utah mom, Curry Richens, the one who wrote a literal children's book about coping with grief after her husband mysteriously died? Well, she has now been found guilty of murdering him. And not like after weeks of deliberation. It just took a few hours. That's basically the legal system saying, yeah, we've heard enough, lady. So, let's rewind, because this case is insane. Back on March 4th, 2022, Curry Richards called 911 just after 3 a.m. to report that she had found her husband, Eric, unresponsive, according to prosecutors' legal brief. Responders declared him dead at the scene in their home in Kansas, in Camas, sorry, a mountain town about 40 miles southeast of Salt Lake City. As investigators looked into it, it turned out that her husband, Eric, died suddenly after she made him a drink, allegedly a Moscow Mule, to celebrate a real estate deal. Sounds sweet, right? Except prosecutors say that the drink was laced with fentanyl and it killed him that night. She then claims she fell asleep with one of their kids and later found him dead. Tragic, unless you're the one who made him the drink. And here's where it starts to look less like a tragedy and more like a plan. Prosecutors say that she was drowning in debt from a failing house flipping business, like millions of dollars deep, and stood to make a ton of money from life insurance and his estate if he
Ooh.
died. So now you've got motive. Then they bring in testimony that she had actually tried to poison him before, like literally fucking weeks earlier. Jesus Christ. On Valentine's Day with a fentanyl laced sandwich. The guy gets sick. He tells people
The sandwiches
Yeah, I know,
aren't even safe these days.
I know, right? That is such a fucking cruel,
Oh
cruel
my
bitch.
god.
That's why also she lost me because like I put her picture on her here. She was kind of hot, and I could have looked past a lot of things. But when you make sandwiches an unsafe environment, you lost me, bitch. You can't fix that. Like before, I was like, maybe I can fix her. No, you're poisoning sandwiches. You're a monster. But anyways, that
Ugh.
lace sandwich. The guy gets sick. He tells people he thinks his wife might have done it, and then still drinks something she hands him later. Like, fellas, we got to start trusting our gut, man. Literally
Yeah.
here. Like, red flags, man. And the evidence just keeps stacking. Apparently, there was a witness, her housekeeper, who said that she helped Corey get drugs. There were also suspicious texts, deleted messages, and timeline inconsistencies the night that he died. Prosecutors also showed she tried to mess with his will and finances behind his back and either filed fraudulent insurance claims after he died. So it's not just murder, they hit her with fraud and forgery too. And then there's the wildest part of all. After he dies, after all this, she writes and publishes a children's book called Are You With Me? About grieving the loss of a parent. She goes on TV, promotes it, presents herself as this grieving widow, helping her kids cope. Meanwhile, prosecutors are building a case that she's the reason they need coping in the first place. That's not a healing journey, that's fucking Brandon. And now the defense try to argue that there's no direct proof that she gave him the drugs. Maybe he took something himself. Maybe the witness isn't reliable. But prosecutors came back with this. This guy didn't use drugs, had no reason to overdose, and everything around this points to planning, money, and cover up. They even introduced stuff like a jailhouse letter, prosecutors say, showed she was trying to influence the case, basically arguing she knew exactly what she was doing the whole time. And in the end, the jury looked at every single thing, the money problems, the prior poisoning attempt, the drug connection, the fraud, the behavior after his death, and came back fast. After 3 hours of deliberations with guilty on multiple counts, including aggravated murder, punishable by 25 years to life in prison, and the 4 other charges, which again included forgery and fraud related to the opening of nearly $2 million in life insurance policy for Eric without his knowledge. She bowed her head as the verdict was read. So, yes, justice finally caught up, and she is scheduled for sentencing on May 13th, which ironically would have been her late husband's 44th birthday.
Ooh.
And note, yeah, right? Like an irony. And note that this case may not spell the end of her legal troubles because she's also facing 26 other felony charges of alleged financial wrongdoings in the years leading up to Eric's murder, including mortgage fraud, money laundering, and issuing bad checks in a separate case that prosecutors filed last year. So she is also litigating property issues with Eric's family in civil court as well. And I think the takeaway here is this. If someone writes a children's book about grief immediately after their spouse dies, maybe just read the reviews a little more carefully there because you might find some evidence. And that is the news.
Wait, do they have kids?
They had kids. Yeah.
I feel so bad for the kids. They lose their dad and they lose their mom too, because
Yep.
um
Yep.
she's never
Terrible.
getting out of jail. You know what? She is
Oh.
pretty, but like I can just tell by the eyes that this bitch is cray.
I know it is hindsight 2020 crazy eyes. I totally see what you're talking about. She is definitely that babe who would be in those shows like Wives That Kill on the ID channel,
We all know, like, we all have that, like, pseudo friend that posts, selfies too often on,
Mhm.
like, social media, and when people are crazy behind the eyes, like, that's, like,
Yeah,
such a there's people I don't wanna associate with purely because they look crazy to me.
that's true, man. There is such a thing as crazy face and crazy eyes, particularly, and you
Yeah.
just know. And it's like, I don't know. Then you start hearing things. It's like, well, that's not too shocking, you know.
Someone told me I have crazy eyes in pictures. I'm like, "I don't know if I have crazy eyes, I just look lost." I just
Or you
look
can't have
like
crazy eyes because sometimes you got like big eyes. It's like
but I don't think it
killer
shows that
clown
I'm
eyes.
crazy. I think it shows that, like, I don't know how to take a good picture and I don't know where I am.
Well, it's not quite like the Chandler Bing pictures, like when we try to smile for a picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my heart goes out to, the kids that are wrapped up in this horrific story.
Totally,
Man,
totally.
some parents suck.
Yeah, yeah, and it goes both ways. This is you know, there's a lot of murdering and relationships. When it's like, dude, just get a divorce. I guess she was trying to kill him for the money, so I guess a divorce wouldn't have helped her. Because then her finances would have come out. But come on, man, there's got to be something else you can do. Get a sugar
Yeah.
daddy. She was attractive. Get an OnlyFans. I don't know, sell feet pictures. It's pretty avenues a crazy attractive woman like that could take, other than killing people.
Yeah.
Before you start to kill people, that's just me. Anyways, go on.
I was gonna say that my next husband's gonna be a Wall Street champion. I'm
Well, watch out.
manifesting it.
Might do a lot of cocaine, have a limp little dick.
Yeah.
Gotta watch
But I
out for
think
Wall Street bros. They
but
walk
I
a lot
think
of
she
wires.
she was a good-looking person, so, like, she could have found someone that could have helped her with her money troubles, potentially.
Totally. Like, and when in doubt, like if you're sexy enough, you can always get a sugar daddy or sugar mama. It's not like, come on. There's like I said, plenty of avenues an attractive woman can take before resorting to killing her husband.
You know, I dated someone a while back, who, um, lost his job during the pandemic, and he was sitting in his biggest investment. I was like, "You have a nice apartment in Hell's Kitchen, like, you can find, um, comparable space out of
Mhm.
Manhattan." So, like,
Right.
the amount that you pay for this apartment, you can pay, half the amount over in Queens or in Brooklyn, the Bronx,
Right.
wherever. But you are sitting in your biggest like if you want to save some money, like the best thing for you to do. I know moving sucks, but like that's gonna solve your issues. And then
Mhm.
he just couldn't imagine it. So I think that like some people they feel like they can't uh like moving's not an option. So sometimes when
Yeah.
people like when they're going through a breakup, they're like, I'm not going through the hassle of selling my house and splitting it. So like we will figure out something else. Like we will just live in an unhappy marriage, but like all the red tape and all the you know the nitty gritty is too much.
Totally. Totally.
What can
Here's
you
my thing.
do?
This shit's in Utah. So like fucking turn Mormon and get another husband. I don't know. Yeah.
That's true.
Plenty of avenues you can fucking take before killing your goddamn husband, lady. That's just me. But anyway, it's on for another edition of
Napa.
Drag queens.
because another week and another headline that absolutely does not involve a drag queen. And this time is John Kent Tarwater a 55-year-old former finance professor at a conservative Christian college in Ohio, and an author who literally wrote about Christian sexual ethics and criticized LGBTQ plus people for supposedly undermining moral standards. Yeah, that guy. So, Tarwater was indicted by a grand jury in Greene County, Ohio, on 8 felony charges,
What the
including
fuck kind of name is tar water?
Yeah, that's true.
That sounds like gross, like malt liquor. Tar
Yeah.
water.
I'm gonna drink some of that tar water there.
Ew. I really don't like him because his family name sounds stupid.
it is
Sorry.
a good diddler name. Tar, goddamn it, tar water. But he was indicted by a grand jury in Greene County, Ohio, on 8 felony charges, including 2 counts of rape, 3 counts of sexual battery, and 3 counts of gross sexual imposition. Prosecutors say the alleged abuse spanned years from 2019 to 2025 and involved a victim who was as young as 10 years old. And according to investigators, the case began after a report of abuse in 2025 surfaced, leading to a multi-month investigation. Authorities allege that some of the acts involved threats of force, and the abuse escalated over time as the victim got older. And here's where it gets even darker. Reports indicate that the victim was his own child, and he's the father of 10 kids. Meanwhile, the university where he taught, Cedarville University, says he was placed on leave once they became aware of the allegations in 2025 and later fired. They've also stated that the alleged victim was not a student at the school. So let's zoom out for a second. This is a guy who built part of his public identity around writing about morality, publishing books on Christian ethics, and warning about threats to sexual standards, quote unquote, including from LGBTQ plus communities. And yet here we are, because once again, when you actually look at who's being arrested, charged, and indicted for crimes against children, it's not the drag queens. It's not the LGBTQ performers. It's not the people being screamed about on cable news. It's usually someone in a position of authority, preaching morality, and allegedly committing the very crimes they claim to be protecting society from. It's almost like the real danger isn't where certain people keep pointing to. In fact, it's almost like the call is coming from inside the house. Holy shit. That's not the drag queens. Crazy shit. Crazy
Barbara,
shit.
I think this past year there was like a gay porno actor who was a diddler, I think.
Mhm.
And the gay community was like, fuck him. Like, we acknowledge that he was bad news. We don't want to be associated with it. Fuck him. And so, like, I feel like the LGBTQ plus community is very objective and transparent. So why conservatives can't say that there's a problem within their camp is like beyond me. Like there's countless cases. Like why can't it just be like, listen, like we have a lot of work to do. Like we acknowledge that there's a lot of people in power that shouldn't be in power because they're diddlers, and we're gonna crack down on it. But they don't say that. Instead, they just want to change the narrative so
Sweep
that
it under the rug.
Yeah, it's crazy. The call's always coming from inside the house. What the fuck?
I know, man.
What the
I know,
fuck?
man. It's crazy. Crazy. So,
Ugh, gross.
Yeah. We'll be back next week with another edition because I'm sure some other fucking creepy asshole will do something creepy that we have to report on. So, that's not the drag queens. Anywho, it is time, Mr. Mo, to get to it because we have a great show for you today, people. A great topic, I should say. Because let's set the scene. We think we live in chaotic times now, and we think politics are messy. In fact, we think when a celebrity gets exposed or a politician trends for 48 hours straight, that's like peak scandal. But ancient history makes modern drama look like a bad group chat argument. We're talking about kings who executed their own wives because they didn't give them a son, or emperors who may or may not have tried to put their horse in government, rulers accused of playing music while their capital city burned to the ground, and politicians who solved disagreements by stabbing each other in the Senate. And here's the wildest part. There were no press conferences, no apology videos, no notes app statements, no hashtags demanding accountability. If you don't like what the ruler was doing, you either stay quiet or you don't really stay alive very long. So it's good to just shut the fuck up. So today, we're diving into ancient scandals that would absolutely shatter the internet if they happen right now. Like, imagine the tweets, imagine the headlines, imagine the Netflix documentaries already in production. Because back then, scandals didn't trend, they toppled empires. So let's get into it. Mr. Mao, we got some good scandals
Yes.
all around the times, all around the world. And yeah, imagine this shit happened today. So it's gonna show you maybe the world isn't as crazy as it once was. Maybe, even though we're still living in an insane timeline, it could always be worse. So let's get to it. Why don't you start us off, Mr. Mel?
Well, I started my list with one that's like pretty well known. There's a movie about it. Um, and I think that this well, I guess the scandal is really Helen of Troy being a big hoe. So like
Yeah.
there is this Greek king named Menelaus or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Helen of Troy, who I believe was wasn't Zeus her dad? Wasn't she
Mm,
like she was one of the most beautiful people? I think that like um didn't like Lita the Swan or something like have some eggs and like didn't Helena get hatched out of an egg or something?
oh, yeah. So she is the daughter of Zeus and Leda, sometimes Nemesis, born from an egg after Zeus ravished Leda in the form of a swan. Ooh,
Yeah,
freaky. And then
some
she is
bestiality
with,
bullshit.
yeah, with King Menelaus is the guy. But yeah, some bestiality. Who who
Ugh.
fucks a swan?
Mm-mm. So she was um married to this king, this Greek king. And then
Mhm.
she met this prince of Troy, and then she went to Troy. And then
Right.
that started this like I think like a 10-year long war, right?
Mhm.
And so that was really the main scandal. But I just wanted to point out that the Greeks pretending to like desert the war, they sailed to like a nearby island of Tenedos, leaving behind this guy named Sinon, who persuaded the Trojans that this horse, this like hollow wooden horse, was an offering to Athena, goddess of war. So they were like, listen, we're going to lead the war. We're going to present you with this gift. You know, let bygones be bygones. No hard feelings. So despite warnings from others, this horse was taken inside the city gates. And I think that people historically, I think that people think that like a gazillion warriors came out of this horse and like
They waited until
ransacked
people
the
were
city.
asleep. Yeah.
But what they really did was some warriors emerged from this horse when everyone was asleep, and then they opened up the gates to let the entire army in.
Mhm.
So I think that the Trojan horse shaped history by symbolizing the triumph of strategy over like brute force,
Mhm.
ending this like 10-year stalemate. And it introduced the enduring archetype of using deception to infiltrate secure systems, which now informs modern metaphors of hidden dangerous traps. So, like people still talk about the Trojan horse today, referencing what was like a real like strategy back in the day. So,
Totally.
whenever I think of like scandals and like crazy stuff, I kind of always start with this story.
Totally. And think about that shit happened today. Someone would have to get fired for this, right? I don't know. But to be fair, while with maybe other presidents, I don't think this could happen in the modern world. With the current president, he does love a good gift. So I could see him Just being like, look at this beautiful horse the people of Iran gave me. Okay, believe me, it's a beautiful horse. Okay, believe me, it's a fantastic horse. It's a massive horse. Just bring it right into the White House. It's a fantastic people. No, don't look inside the horse. Okay, believe me, maybe it's a giant piggyback. Okay, I'm gonna check it out later. I'm gonna get some sleep. Don't worry. It's a beautiful people, beautiful horse. Bring it right in. You know what I mean? I can totally see that shit working. I mean, they gave him a plane and he didn't ask any fucking questions. He just fucking took it. What is a giant horse? You know, or especially they would make it like a statue of him instead of a horse, and it would totally fucking work. So,
everyone like presents Donald Trump this day and age with like shiny like gifts and like trophies and
that's
medals.
all you
It's
need.
so like just watching it is so like masturbatory. Like it's like I feel like I'm watching someone just jack off in front of me. It's so gross.
Yeah,
Like
they're
what a
jerking him off.
fucking
That's all they're doing.
weirdo. Yeah.
That's all they're doing.
Ugh, gross. This is the world we live in. Like
That's
what
the
the
world we live
fuck?
in. Yeah, that is fucking crazy. Anywho,
You know what? We should have started with the maybe one of the biggest scandals in the entire world ever, and that's Epstein.
oh yeah, but that's not an ancient scandal.
That's not ancient,
It's
but
like very current.
yeah.
So, and we did, you know, if you want to check out a great Epstein episode, look no further than this season. Check it out. It's like our second episode, I think it is.
Oh,
Maybe the
by the way, did you see that Melania made a press conference to say that she's not
yes. That was
she
so
was never
weird.
friends? Are they trying to get ahead of something?
I mean, it really sounded like because no one fucking it came out of complete nowhere that she would have this conference being like, I do not know Jeffrey Epstein that well. We were not friends until later, like 2001. I met Donald at a different party that he had nothing to do with. But this is not suspicious at all. Anyways, have a good day, y'all. And then she just stops the fucking
Do you think
conference.
they heard our podcast and she was like, I can't believe Chris said that shit. I'm gonna go
That's
on a
right.
press conference right now.
Quick, Donald, they are onto us. Let's have press conference and not be totally suspicious. It's like, come on, bitch. What the fuck? Yeah, this is that was so weird. That was so strange. And it just made everybody in the world be like way more suspicious. If suspicious weren't any higher. And it's funny because a lot of people, you know, even ourselves included, have mentioned that this Iran war seems to be a distraction from the Epstein thing. But now the Iran war has been such a disaster that maybe they're talking about Epstein to distract from the Iran war.
Yeah.
So, woo.
Yeah.
But anyways, on to my first one. We're going to go to an 44 BC when CMO was just starting high school.
And I have a beeper.
That's right.
The day and age of the pager.
We're going to take you to one of the wildest scandals that still spoken about today, and that is the murder of Julius Caesar. Because by 44 BC, Julius Caesar wasn't just a general, he was a goddamn brand, people. He had conquered Gaul, expanded Rome's territory massively, crossed the Rubicon River in defiance of the Senate, basically marching on Rome itself, sparked a civil war and won, and then declared himself dictator for life.
And now he's a salad.
That's right.
He lives on forever.
Delicious, delicious salad that teaches you that anchovies can make things taste good. So
And
really,
there's even a pizza named after him.
that's right. It's a very inspiring story.
Little Caesars, yeah.
That's right. So yes, he declared himself dictator for life, but that phrase did not sit well. See, Rome prided himself on being a republic with no kings, you know, with power balanced, at least in theory, between elected officials. And Caesar was accumulating too much control, too much loyalty, too much influence with the masses. So some senators convinced themselves that they were saving democracy. Among them, Marcus Junius Brutus, a man Caesar trusted, and we'll get you a little famous quote after with his name. So, on March 15th, the Ides of March, Caesar attended a Senate meeting. He was warned not to go, but yet he went anyways. As he sat down, the senators surrounded him. Then the knives came out. 23 stab wounds in the Senate chamber in broad daylight.
Ooh, they did
Like
not like
imagine,
him.
yeah, they fucked him up.
They did
Imagine
not like
C-SPAN.
him.
Yeah, imagine C-SPAN is broadcasting Congress, and halfway through a session, lawmakers just pull out blades and attack the fucking sitting leader. You know what
I
I
would
mean?
grab popcorn. I would watch that.
Global markets would literally crash in real time. Military forces would go on alert. Conspiracy theories would flood every platform within seconds. International panic would ripple instantly. But in Rome, chaos followed, not peace, not restored democracy. So civil war erupted. Power struggle intensified. Eventually, Caesars adopted their Octavian rose to power as Augustus, Rome's first true emperor. Then the assassination, meant to save the Republic, ended up ending it. And that is the scandal of the murder of Julius Caesar. But like shit, imagine the tweets. They killed the Caesar. I can't believe me. It was those Democrats. I can't believe me. It was a goddamn. They're a threat to our democracy. Believe me, they're going out there stabbing Caesar. It's the foreigners. I can't believe me. Joe Biden let them in the country and they're out here stabbing Caesar. How could
You
they?
know, power is like a drug.
Yeah, it is.
People get a little bit of power, they want more power. Like Game of Thrones shit.
It is.
Let me
Literally.
tell you, I never want to be the top dog ever in any capacity. I don't want that kind of pressure. I want to be below the radar.
That's why Simo's a bottom, you guys. Now he wants to be the top dog.
I just want to lay there. I don't want to be responsible
Just want
for.
to take it.
Yeah, I don't want to have to prep or stretch.
That's right. Just wants to eat a salad for dinner and then be okay. That's
Yeah, I
that's
tend to
really
drink
it.
my calories anyway, so I'm good.
That's right.
Okay, so this one isn't really ancient, but it's old because I think that when I think of scandal, I I think that I think Watergate. So this isn't ancient from like back in the day in like Roman times, but it is like old piece of American history. And
Right.
like if I were to ask like my parents, like what's the biggest scandal you can think of? Like they would probably say Watergate. And I didn't even know why it was called Watergate because it has nothing to do with water. I thought it had to do with like a dam. I don't know.
No.
I had no idea.
Fucking
So I was
Watergate
researching it.
fucking the complex was named Watergate. It's
Yeah,
like
I
it
had no
happens
idea.
right at the Watergate Hotel.
So the Watergate scandal was like a major American political scandal from 1972 to 1974 involving the illegal activities of the Republican President Richard Nixon's administration. So it began with a June 1972 break in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters, which was held at the Watergate office complex. That's where the name Watergate came from. And it was aimed at spying on opponents. So the scandal included extensive investigations into a subsequent cover up leading to Nixon's resignation. And I think to date, like he's the only president that like resigned.
Mhm.
Some presidents have been assassinated. A lot of presidents have been impeached, but like he was the only one that like resigned. So anyway, on June 17th, 1972, 5 men were arrested inside the Democratic National Committee offices at the Watergate building in DC, having been hired by officials from the committee for the re-election of the president to plant bugs. So I guess they're going to like plant like wires and stuff all
Yeah,
over
they
the
wanted
place.
to listen in on the
Yeah.
opponent.
So there was a cover up. So the Nixon administration, including advisors like John Mitchell,
Mhm.
actively attempted to hide their involvement using hush money to ensure the burglars remained silent, a process detailed in the Miller Center's overview. So
Mhm.
the Senate Watergate Committee uncovered the wrongdoing, and investigations revealed that a secret recording system was in the White House. So ultimately, after the Supreme Court ruled in U.S. versus Nixon that he must release these tapes, it proved he authorized this cover up so that Nixon didn't have any choice. He had to resign in August of 1974 because he was trying to avoid a very certain impeachment. So he's just trying to get
Right.
ahead of it.
And he
And
got the VP to give him a pardon too.
yeah,
On his way out.
so the event is widely considered the defining scandal of American politics up until present day. I think that this Epstein is going to be like probably what goes down in history as like one of the most embarrassing things in American history. But this led to stricter campaign finance laws and increased suspicion of government power. So I think that up until this point, like, people can have things to say about the government, but I think that this spurred a lot of conspiracy theories after this because people were like, if the president is able to do such like, you know, shitty things, then like who can we trust? Can we even trust the government? So
Now,
I think
here's the thing.
Nixon was a shithead.
3 interesting things about this. Number
Okay.
1, it's crazy that Nixon decided to even do Watergate to begin with, because if you look at the results of that election, he crushed. Like the Democrat running against him had no chance in that election. Everybody knew it. It was a landslide election. Like you couldn't have whooped his ass any further. So he did all that just to spy on him, just because he wanted to fucking stroke his big dick around, you know what I mean? But there was literally, like, if it would have been a tight election, maybe I get it, but like there was seriously zero reason to do that other than for him to like stroke his power. So he ended up having to resign when he would have just like, he was very beloved at the time. He would have just fucking been one of America's most loved presidents, honestly, if this doesn't come out. 2, those recording devices that he had were actually for his presidential memoirs. So he ended up just to write a book about himself and make a little money after the fact, having these tapes that ultimately ended up incriminating him. And
Yeah.
uh, not only in the Watergate case, but it also got a lot of Americans to see kind of like his true side of him. And you see the stuff he says about gays, hippies, Democrats, liberals, all these things. And after you're done hearing that, you're kind of like, damn, does he like anybody? So, but third, when this is the saddest thing, after January 6th, after Trump completely got away with that, even though the report clearly says that he got fake electors and he basically tried to overthrow democracy as we know it, I think that if Watergate happens today, no one bats an eye. I don't think Nixon has to resign. I think he makes it up as fake news. Like if Trump would have Watergate would be nothing for Trump after everything that he's already beaten. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think in today's America, the sad thing is that Watergate would not be prosecuted. He would have gotten away with it. It would have been totally fine. Uh, and that's a sad thing. And no, Trump does use a lot of the same advisors from the Nixon administration, so they have learned a thing or two from Watergate. But I don't know, man. I unfortunately think that if this shit happens today, Trump gets away with it. Like no one bats an eye. I mean, look at the Russia scandal, the perfect phone call with Ukraine, all these other things that should have been the nail to his political campaign, and no one gives a shit. So
It's a
hopefully
good thing that
Epstein is different, but
it's a good thing that Trump's parents are dead because I have something to say to them. They really created a monster.
yeah.
I
I mean, to
blame
be
the
fair,
parents.
look at them.
Yeah.
They're fucking terrifying, dude. Oh shit.
Did you see that there's some country that whenever they have a picture of Donald Trump, they blur out his neck because it looks graphic?
Oh my god, that is so
I
funny.
think it's Japan. That's like, we have to blur this out because it's not appropriate. It looks like a veggie.
If you try to
That's
strangle
funny.
the president, are you grabbing him by the pussy? That's the question.
Maybe. Eye for an eye, motherfucker.
That's right. That's why he likes wearing ties. It feels good. Anyways, what you got next?
I think it's your turn. We just did Watergate.
Oh shit, yeah. I just started yapping. Okay, so this next one, I'm going to take you back to 64 AD, the 60s, to a fire that broke out in Rome. And honestly, if you heard of Emperor Nero or Nero, however you want to say it, it does weirdly sound like a certain Texas senator that had to vacation in Cancun after you hear this story. But
Nero sounds like a Matrix character.
it does, like Neo. But
Yeah.
Nero, he apparently was quite evil in some ways, and some compare him to Satan, to the devil. In fact, they use one of his names as one of the
Oh,
incarnations of
nice.
Satan. But in this case, there's more about the incompetence. But it's 64 AD, and a fire breaks out in Rome that burned for 6 days. It literally, entire neighborhoods were reduced to ash. Thousands were displaced. Families lost everything. It was literally one of the worst disasters in Roman history. And now here's where legend takes over. The story goes that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Technically, fiddles didn't exist yet, but the image struck, which was the emperor performing music while his capital city collapsed in flames. Now, some historians argue he wasn't even in Rome when it started. Sound familiar, Ted? Others say he returned and organized relief efforts, but perception is everything. And the perception was this: while citizens suffered, Nero revived. Then, that's right, instead of accepting blame, he allegedly blamed Christians, accused them of starting the fires. And what followed were brutal persecutions, arrests, executions, public torture spectacles. Now, classic political deflection, find a scapegoat, redirect outrage. Now let's modernize this. February 2021, Texas power grids collapsed during a historic winter freeze. Millions without heat, pipes bursting, families literally freezing inside their homes. And what happens? Photos surface of Ted Cruz boarding a flight to Cancun for a beach getaway. The backlash was fucking instant.
He left his
Nuclear.
dog.
Yes, he left his dog behind. Memes flooded timelines. Think pieces dropped hourly. Even people who rarely followed politics knew of Cancun Cruz. Now, imagine if instead of flying back early to manage PR damage, he just shrugged and said, "Yeah, I needed a break." That's Nero's energy. And no, Nero blamed it on the Catholics. Ted Cruz blamed it on his daughter, so that his daughter is the one that made him go to fucking Cancun to begin with and leave the dog behind. The difference: modern leaders at least answer to votes, media cycles, and relentless public scrutiny. And Nero answered to himself. So he stayed in power for years after the fire, built a massive, extravagant palace complex called the Domus Aurea on land, cleared by the destruction, which didn't exactly help his public image. And like I said, he fucking murdered a bunch of people after to, deflect from him having to take any blame. Eventually, rebellions broke out, support evaporated, the Senate declared him a public enemy, and then he fled Rome and ultimately took his own life.
Ooh.
Legends say his last words were, "What an artist dies in me." So even in collapse, he was worried about the reviews. So Nero, maybe he could be a young Republican or something. He would fit right in, brother.
So did he start the fires though?
No, he didn't start the fires, but like literally, like he either was playing music and dicking around while the fires happened in his palace, or he wasn't even around anyways. He Cancun tatted it, and he was out somewhere else, so he didn't do shit to order forces to go take care of the fire and all that stuff. So he just basically let Rome burn. Which imagine it's like letting Washington D.C. burn down or something, or fucking Texas. Thing it was bad. It was bad.
You know what? I think that Benjamin Bibi Netanyahu allowed Hamas to kidnap all those hostages. I think that he had information and wanted an excuse to like unleash royal fury in the Gaza
He loves
Strip.
going to war. That's what
He
keeps
loves
him in power.
war.
So, it's not hard to argue something like that.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like whether you love it, Israel or not, like you can't argue, you can't deny that he's not doing terrible damage to Israel's reputation at this point, and to the Israeli people who will ultimately be the ones who are hated because politicians, for some reason, get to scam everything. So, uh,
Horrible.
yeah, he's got to go, dude. Israel needs new leadership.
What a
Uh,
loser.
yeah, he's at this point clearly going to war to politically benefit himself. That's it's
Correct.
so and poor Israelis will keep dying as a result of it, which is shit. So it's kind of like, come on, man. Yeah, well, something has to happen. But
Mm.
anyhow, on to the next one.
Anywho,
What you got next?
so next up, okay, so maybe I didn't get the assignment right because you said ancient. This is American history, which isn't really ancient. It's ancient, it's old for us, but it's not necessarily ancient. So the next one I have is around when President Andrew Jackson was in office. And
All
so,
right, I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
okay. So this is one of the strangest like early Washington scandals revolved around just social gossip. So there was this cabinet member named John Eaton.
No way. I went to when I moved to America in sixth grade. I went to John Eaton Elementary.
Did you really?
I swear to God, in DC.
Did you know that he married this woman named Peggy?
I had no idea about this scandal, but this is literally the guy
Wow.
because it's in DC. So John Eaton,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
So Washington elites accused Peggy of being like a homewrecking hussy immoral bitch because she remarried quickly after her first husband died. They were like, "Yo, like we want you to move on with your life, but this is too soon."
yeah, right.
As soon as she buried her
you,
husband, she had her legs open for another guy.
you should you should really find yourself. You know what I mean? Take up a hobby and then start dating. You know.
Yeah. Like basket weaving might help,
That's right.
but instead she was like, "No, I want to jump on that D and ride that shit to work." So, the wives of the other cabinet officials refused to associate with her. They were like, "We don't want to talk to her. She is a slut." So then President Andrew Jackson, he fiercely defended Peggy. But the feud became so intense that nearly his entire cabinet resigned, making it one of the most bizarre social scandals to reshape American politics. So
Yeah.
his cabinet members, like the Christy Nome and the Rubios of the world, um, they were pressured by their wives to quit their jobs instead of being associated with a so-called slut. Isn't that crazy? They
I
were like,
mean,
we don't
to
want the
be
paycheck.
fair, not much has changed there. Don't come at me, ladies, but women can be fucking ruthless with each other. This does not, it's crazy. It's crazy. Uh, yeah, and it was Fluoride Calhoun, the wife of John C. Calhoun, who apparently led the charge here. So yeah, man, people's wives. It's crazy.
So
Let's see.
crazy.
And her first husband's last name was Timberlake. I wonder if it was any relation to Ticka Timberlake.
Did you see that they released the video of his arrest?
Yeah, I know. It's so stupid.
He's like, I am Justin Timberlake. I'm on a world tour.
I'm on a
They're like,
world tour. And then he just
and the
stares at the
cop is
cop
like,
like,
okay.
it's like, okay, can you tell me more about that? Like a world tour, man.
I've
I had to
had
surprise him and start dancing. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, beatboxing his way out of it.
yeah.
I I've had celebrities in my shop be like, "Really?" When I say, "Okay, last name?" And they're like, "Really?" And to be honest, sometimes I think I know who they are, but I don't always know how to spell things.
Totally. Totally.
And sometimes we have celebrities who don't want to give their names.
Right.
And so I just ring up whatever they purchased and I'll say to them, "Listen, like it's gonna be really hard to find you in the system if you want to return it or exchange it." So they'll
Mhm.
come back and be like, "I want to exchange or return this." I said, okay, do you have your receipt? Like, no. Like, okay, let me look up your account. Like, oh, I don't think I gave my name. Okay, then you're probably warned that we can't do this. Like, what do
Right.
you mean? I mean, like, we were very clear about the rules and you didn't care at the time and we warned you and then this is where we are now. So like gift it. Give it to someone if you don't want to give it to someone else, but I can't return it. I get into this conversation a lot.
Wow. Wow. Celebs. You guys are jerks.
Yeah.
But yeah, this Peggy
They're
thing.
like, I'm on a world tour. I don't give a flying fuck, loser.
Now I want to see just Peggy Eaton first husband death was he died in 1928 and then he married John Henry Eaton in 1920. He died the first husband John B. Timberlake died in 1828 and then she married John Henry Eaton in 1829. So the following year, which I have to say for that time, you know what I mean? It is kind of soon because if you think about it, like if you send someone a fucking letter, it would take like 6 goddamn months to arrive. You know what I mean? Like so, even if you send someone a love letter, like I love you, Peggy. You are the most beautiful. Thou art the most beautiful lady I have ever seen in my life. And you fucking sent that, and you send it in June. It's not gonna get there till December. So how the fuck did you, you know, how did you guys bump and grind so early? Bump those uglies so quick, if you know what I mean. I don't know. It is a little fast.
I'm looking at pictures of her and she's not that cute to me. Like, did her roast beef legit taste like roast beef? Like, what the fuck? It was like the allure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, people were way uglier back then.
She got like licorice flavored nips or some shit. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she knows.
Ugh.
She's definitely maybe in this younger portrait I see, she was more attractive, but yeah, in those other actual pictures, not so much. But
You know what?
I think that
I
was just the look back then.
I don't condone it. I don't condone cheating. Friends of mine tell me things. I'm like, guys, that's not nice. Like, I don't approve of it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't like it. But when I have friends who admit to being unfaithful to their significant other and they downgrade, I'm like, okay, listen, like if Brad Pitt knocks on your door, like you don't want to give up that opportunity. I get it. But like if Andy Dick knocks on your door, don't open it. Do you know what I mean? So like I just don't understand why people cheat on they cheat on with someone who is like doesn't even compare to their significant other. Like,
Yeah, it
what's wrong
happens a
with
lot.
you?
It happens a lot. It's weird. It really is
I don't
weird.
understand it.
Or like when uggos cheat, like what's her face? God, she was in Star Wars. We covered her. She played
Natalie
Padme's
Portman?
Natalie Portman. Like fucking imagine cheating on her, like her husband did.
Yeah,
And you see
horrible.
that guy, he literally looks like the chef from Ratatouille. We're talking about
Oh wait,
Ratatouille.
isn't
That's
he like a novelist or something? A
I think
writer?
so. But yeah, he looks like the chef from Ratatouille. Same nose and everything. It's like you're gonna cheat on Natalie Portman? Like
You
get
know
the fuck
what?
out of here,
I
bro.
saw him in Cobble Hill, Brooklyn one time, and a friend of mine pointed him out at like a cafe. Like that guy was married to Natalie Portman or was with her. I don't know that were they married?
Yeah, they were married.
Um, and I was like, that thing touched her? Oh
Right?
my God.
Right?
Ew.
Yeah.
She's beautiful and she's
Like
super
total babe.
talented.
And so
Yeah.
cool and nice and just cute and adorable. She's like the perfect woman in almost every way. And this asshole cheated on her. So it's
Ugh.
like, come on, dude. See it a lot. See it a lot.
People don't know what they have when they have it, you know?
That's right. That's right. Anyways, Miss Peggy. On to the next one. And up next to mine, I'm gonna keep things going in the BC era.
Now they say BCE.
Now they say BCE.
I think so, something like that.
Really?
Like, I guess we learned it was BC before Christ, and then AD was Anno Domini, which is like translates to like in the year of our Lord, right?
Right.
But now they don't teach that in school, I don't think. Now it's like,
Before Common Era or before Christ. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so they take Christ out of everything. I can't even say Christmas. Thank God for Donald Trump, because now I can wish people a Merry Christmas and I can just give 0 fucks about it. That's why I voted for him. I wanted the right to say Merry Christmas, and that was really important to me, and that is the basis of my vote. There,
Yeah,
you heard it here first, folks.
that's fair.
I've
That's
been
fair.
it's taken me a long time to get that off my chest, but it felt really good. Okay, what do you have next?
So we have the one and only Caligula, who ruled between 37 and 40 and 41 CE, I guess is now what you would
Doesn't
say.
Caligula sound like um like a clogged artery? It sounds like a condition.
Uh,
Coagulate.
yeah.
It doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it sounds like an anal rape to me, but that's just because I know way too much about Caligula, and I've seen the movie Caligula about the Emperor Caligula that has a young Helen Mirren in it, who would, I think, maybe win an Oscar even for that movie in later years. But I don't know if it was that she won an Oscar for, or she won an Oscar for something else. But as a young Helen Mirren and some other actors, maybe I think it was Peter Sellers in it, who's a legendary Hollywood actor. So I watched this movie with my mom after I got out of the hospital from my appendicitis, and I was hanging out at my parents' house for a few days to heal up. And my mom and I see the cast. We see, oh, this movie has Oscar-winning actors. It's about Rome. It's got to be maybe a cool war and shit.
Yeah.
And this movie was one of the sickest fucking things I've ever seen. There's like weird orgies going on all the way through, like with like at least 60 people, and they did not bother to cut anything. Like you could see things. I've never seen so many dicks in a fucking movie in my life. I made Game of Thrones look softcore, for God's sakes. And it's just
So a
me and
lot
my
of
mom
dicks. What's
watching
this
this
movie
shit.
called? Caligula?
That's right. Go
All right.
Caligula.
Let me add that to my spank bank.
You think you want to add to the spank bank, but no way. This is like your nightmare. It's like, don't even bother checking it out, people. Just listen, heed my warning. It's fucking awful. One of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. But apparently, Emperor Caligula did not start out insane, because when he first took power at 24 years old, Rome loved him. His father had been a war hero. The people saw him as the golden child of a respected lineage, and crowds cheered. The Senate celebrated. He handed out bonuses. He hosted games. He canceled unfair taxes. For a few glorious months, he was the people's prince. And then he got violently sick. Historians
Uh-oh.
debate what happened: poisoning or encephalitis, a mental break. But after he recovered, something shifted. The charming young leader came back different: paranoid, cruel, erratic. He began executing rivals and even family members. He reportedly forced parents to attend their own sons' executions. He bankrupted the treasury with lavish building projects and personal luxuries. He built floating palaces, threw extravagant games. He treated the empire like his personal sandbox. And then came the story that refuses to die: his horse, Incitatus. Incitatus. Ancient sources claim Caligula planned to appoint his horse as consul, one of the highest political offices in Rome.
It's
It's
fucking
like almost
weird.
like making him like a fucking like Speaker of the House. He allegedly gave the horse a marble stable, a jeweled collar, and servants. Now, some historians think this was satire, that Caligula was mocking the Senate, implying his horse could do their job better, which honestly is pretty savage, pretty hilarious. But imagine this headline today: President Trump announces Labrador as Secretary of Defense. Oh, wait, I'm not gonna say that too loud. He might listen. The internet would fucking implode. Cable news would go into 24/7 emergency coverage. Late night comedians would enter a creative renaissance. There would be a constitutional crisis, bipartisan outrage, and change.org petitions within hours. And in Rome, the people were terrified, because Caligula wasn't just eccentric, he demanded worship. He declared himself divine, a living God, which kind of sounds like someone we know as well. He ordered
Mhm.
statues of himself placed in temples. He humiliated senators publicly, made them run beside his chariot for sport. He blurred the lines between performance art and tyranny so aggressively that no one knew what was a joke anymore. Again, sound familiar? Eventually, his own guards had enough. The Praetorian Guard, his personal security detail, assassinated him in a corridor after a public event. Multiple stab wounds, swift and quiet. No press conference, no thoughts and prayers, just regime change. And when your Secret Service equivalent decides you're too unstable to continue, that's not even a scandal anymore. That's a fucking system error that must have been cleared out. And that
That's
was the
crazy.
scandal.
So, what do you think made him sick? Do you think maybe he had like a parasite that like attacked his brain?
Yeah, maybe. And then he came out like, guys, we must start drinking sewage water to make us get strong.
Did you hear that? So I think he's starting like a podcast.
He's starting a podcast.
And
I know,
thought,
dude.
with that voice,
I know, dude. I feel so bad because I know it's a disability and some people suffer, but it's like, dude, you have a voice for fucking silent films. Do you really want to start a podcast? Like, come on.
oh gosh.
Have some self-awareness for Christ's sakes, RFK. Like, Jesus. Do a fitness magazine. I get it. You're jacked, bro. But a podcast? No.
Like him doing a podcast is like Calvin Klein naming Donald Trump as the next underwear model. Like you
Right?
don't have what it takes. Sorry, dude.
Come on, bro. And it's like, plus it's going to be all government propaganda from him anyway. So it's like, do you really want to listen to this shit, people? Like, no one in their right mind is going to want to listen to this crap. But, guys,
He's like, you know, people don't trust the government. Yeah, and you're the government, and I
you're
don't
the
trust
government,
you.
bro. Literally.
You are the reason why there's a measles outbreak in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are dying of measles because of you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not a scientist.
That's
You're
right.
a weird lawyer.
That's right. Say it louder for the people in the back. It's fucking
You know what?
crazy.
Like, in like some like professions, like let's say I want to be an optometrist, an eye doctor. Whether I pass every class with a C average or straight A's doesn't really matter because a doctor of optometry is consistent across the board. So it doesn't say you're a doctor of optometry is better than this person because your grades were better. So I can't imagine RFK Jr. being a good student. I feel like he probably just barely got
heroin to study.
Yeah, he barely got by. And so I think that he just barely got, you know, he's also a very prominent family. They're probably like, just give him the fucking degree.
Right.
Ugh.
Right.
He to me like belongs in like, I don't know, like I feel like he should be working like at like a landfill. Like that's what he should be doing.
I think he should be
Or like
scaring children straight or something. With I used to be just like you, Billy. I started doing heroin.
You do sound a lot like him. Okay. So next up, I have I don't really know how to say her name. Anne Boleyn.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Boleyn.
No, you've got further. Go
Boleyn.
back.
Boleyn.
There you go.
Anne Boleyn. Poor bitch. Man, they really did her dirty. Okay, she was executed. Okay, so basically, she married the King of England, and his name was Henry the Eighth. So after marrying in 1533, she was only able to produce one surviving daughter named Elizabeth, but she had a bunch of miscarriages, and so King Henry the Eighth felt like she was a failure and a curse. So he had this like new love interest. Her name was Jane Seymour. She was a lady in waiting. What's that mean? Like a virgin on the sidelines? A lady in waiting?
I mean, pretty much a mistress.
Okay.
Ready. Literally, lady in waiting, ready to get married to her.
And so he liked her, and so he needed to end his marriage with Anne to be able to marry again because you were not allowed to have two wives. Um,
Mhm.
so she was accused of adultery with five men, and historians say this is probably made up, but she was accused of fucking five guys, including her brother George Boleyn, which incest is not very popular amongst the masses. So I guess people wanted to humiliate her and make the dissolution of the marriage more absolute. So then
Right.
there's this guy named Thomas Cromwell. He was the king's chief advisor. He orchestrated the downfall to remove Anne, who had become a political liability. So people were saying a lot of mean things about the royal family because they thought that she was this like big whore and like had like kissy cousins. So
Yeah.
the actual reason, the legal reason for her execution was high treason, as she was accused of conspiring with her alleged lovers to kill the king. So this guy, Thomas Cromwell, was like, I'm going to tell everyone that she's a big hoe. And not only am I going to say she's a hoe, but I'm going to say that she is seducing these men to get them to potentially kill the king. Um,
Mhm.
Despite these charges, like I said, most historians believe that Anne was innocent and that her trial was a sham designed to remove her from the throne. So this is a huge scandal, and I feel really bad for her. She was just trying to have a baby, a son for her man, and she had a lot of miscarriages. She ended up having one daughter, Elizabeth, who was healthy, but that day and age, everyone wanted to have a son to carry on the family name. And so there's a lot of pressure for a woman. You're considered a failure if you can't produce a dude.
Totally.
Scary.
And I see the pigeons out there in your window when
Oh, can you
I
hear
chime
it?
in for a segment.
They woke me up last night. They're always fucking out there.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. There you are. They're like, that's right, we are. Woohoo! Go fuck yourself, gay boy. Watch these moves.
Yeah, pretty much.
And note, I will get into because this is part of a smaller, bigger scandal. So keep an eye out on this very list, and we'll hear more of this Henry VIII because that boy, he's a bad boy. But anyways, on to the next one for me, which I have two left on my side. And this is like straight out of like a soap opera or romance novel or even like the movie Troy a little bit, but it's Cleopatra's Affair. So let's go back even further. Uh, because Cleopatra, whew, almost Cleopatra, she would have been in 41 BC. And this affair would have taken place around 48 BC, which is weird because the time goes differently. It's
Mhm.
confusing. Just don't think about it too much. Just so before influencers, before PR teams, before tabloids, Cleopatra was 18 years old when she co-ruled Egypt with her youngest brother, who she
Ew.
was also married to, because the royal family trees were basically circles back then.
Okay, can I
Uh,
just say something really quick?
Go on.
Um, Now I didn't know her, despite what people think I wasn't around back then.
Right.
But I think it's safe to say that if you're a product of inbreeding, that you probably look more like those people from The Hills Have Eyes than you do like the way they portrayed her in Hollywood. And so like we know that the royal family has had a long history in England. The royal family has a history of inbreeding, and that's why they look the way that they do. Like King Charles, maybe he's a nice guy, I don't know, but those ears and that jawline, it like he's not a looker. Like
Yeah.
they were very lucky that his children were attractive. And so thank God for Princess Di's genetics. But like over the years, like they were pretty butt ass ugly, and I think it's because of inbreeding. So if Cleopatra was the product of inbreeding, there's no way in hell she was as sexy as they like to portray her in Hollywood. Elizabeth Taylor is like light years beyond what Cleopatra had to have looked like. She had to have been butt ass
Yes.
ugly with like a crazy underbite, like sunken face and like
Well, not
six
that far.
toes. Yeah,
That
she's
far, but
probably like
apparently she
busted.
was, evidence that apparently what's on the inside is more important because she was known to be not so much, physically attractive, but more as exceptionally charming, intelligent, and charismatic. So, apparently, she had irresistible charm because she was just cool as hell. So that was her thing. But yes, she apparently was not so attractive. But it's like a winners, right? The history books type thing. Like Napoleon wasn't actually super short; he was average height, but everybody knows him as a little guy because he lost those wars. So it's kind of this thing. Just you can't really call her ugly to her face. So people are like, oh, she's so beautiful and smart and clever. But yeah, apparently she was more of a charmer than she was a looker. So
Mm-hmm.
you are right there. Um, now, the sibling alliance with her husband brother thing
Ew.
did not last. She was pushed out of power and exiled, and most people in that situation would regroup quietly. However, Cleopatra decided to gamble everything. When Julius Caesar arrived in Egypt chasing political enemies, Cleopatra had herself smuggled into the palace wrapped in a rug or sack of bedding, depending on the source, so she could dramatically emerge in front of him. Imagine
So,
that
so
visual.
wait, she planned that, or did someone think that she was just trash and rolled her up in a
No,
rug?
God damn it, she planned it. What the fuck?
They're probably like, let's take this trash out, this busted bitch. And then
Yes,
she's like, wait a second, I'm the
that's
queen.
right.
Oh, you? Oh,
That's right.
okay.
Now imagine that visual. Not a DM, not a diplomatic letter, just a full theatrical entrance. And it worked. She became Caesar's ally and lover. And she even bore him a son. Rome was scandalized. Senators whispered that Caesar was being manipulated by a foreign queen, that she was using seduction to influence Roman power. Sound familiar? And when Caesar was assassinated, Cleopatra didn't fold. She aligned with Mark Antony, who was one of Rome's most powerful men, and their relationship was loud, lavish, political, and romantic. They threw extravagant feasts, traveled in gold plated barges, presented themselves among almost as divine rulers. And back in Rome, Antony's rival, Octavian, painted Cleopatra as a dangerous temptress hussy, controlling Antony like a puppet. Propaganda spread that she was corrupting him, draining Rome's resources, and plotting domination. So if this were today, picture like a modern head of state publicly involved with two of the most powerful men at rival global superpowers, one after the other. The cable news would combust, like think tanks would publish emergency analysis. Social media would divide into Team Cleopatra versus Team Rome. Conspiracy threads would dominate timelines. Is she running the empire? And headlines would flood every outlet. Instead of trending topics, though, this triggered a war. Antony and Cleopatra were eventually defeated, and rather than be paraded as prisoners in Rome, both died. Antony by suicide after a battlefield loss, and Cleopatra shortly after, allegedly by snakebite. Egypt became a Roman province, and her love life didn't just trend, it literally redrew the world map. So, talk about crazy affair.
A
It's
snake
Cleopatra.
bite?
Yeah, apparently. Some say she was like assassinated, but
Well, maybe
snake.
if someone threw a snake like in her bed,
Yeah,
like that's an
probably.
assassination. That could be
Yeah, that's
both.
what I'm thinking.
Both things can be true.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm thinking.
Wow, Cleopatra,
Crazy,
girl, you was
crazy.
sneaky. You's a
That's
sneaky
that's what I
snake, bitch.
call putting the pussy in the pedestal.
Yeah.
You
Well,
can't do that. That's what the 40-year-old virgin taught us. You can't put the pussy on the pedestal. Julius
that's
Caesar.
right. So my last one is not ancient Greek, but it's medieval, kind of like the Anne Boleyn. So this one is in the 1400s in London regarding the royal family. And so there was this like story back in the day, this scandal about the princes locked in a tower. Have you heard this before?
Yes.
So, this king, Edward the Fourth, died. And so next up the plate, up to the plate would be his son, Edward the Fifth. And then I guess would be his little brother eventually, who was Prince Richard of Shrewsbury. So these two were considered the princes in the tower because they disappeared in 1483 after being confined to the Tower of London by their uncle, King Richard III. So after Edward the Fourth died, the throne should have went to Edward the Fifth, but instead, because he was young, King Richard the Third, locked these two princes in a tower, and then he took over the monarch. So while widely believed to have been murdered on Richard's orders that summer, their exact fate remains one of England's most enduring mysteries.
Yeah.
So here's the details. So following Edward the Fourth's death in April of 1483, Richard III became Lord Protector. So he moved Edward V, the 12-year-old, who was awaiting coronation, and his little brother to the Tower of London officially for their safety, he claimed. But
Hmm.
then they were last seen in public in the summer of 1483, a few months later. So by autumn, rumors that they had been killed were widespread and they were never seen alive again. So obviously, um, Richard the Third was the main suspect. So the boys, their disappearance really solidified his grasp on the throne. It sounds like Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah,
Um,
literally.
Other potential culprits often suggested include Henry Stafford, the second Duke of Buckingham, and Henry the Seventh. So
No.
later in 1674, so this is like almost 200 years later, workers found a chest containing two small skeletons under a staircase in the tower, which were later placed in the Westminster Abbey urn. In 1933, some examinations suggested that the children were of the right age, though some doubt remains. So they don't really know for sure. But I think it's pretty safe to say that people when they're power hungry, they'll do anything for the fame and the riches of being a king, and that will include killing your nephews. We saw it in the Lion King. Remember, Scar tried to kill Simba. People are crazy.
That's right. Which was taken from Shakespeare. No, but yeah, this whole Princess in the Tower thing, it really is like one of the biggest mysteries ever in British history. Because
Yeah,
it's the kind of thing where some people have claimed that they saw the kids, but at this point they had been almost like deformed from shingles and shit and disease and shit that from the conditions at the tower, all kinds of things. So um I will say, let's see. I just looked up to see how DNA testing of that DNA worked out. So DNA testing on the princess in the tower has not yet been performed, despite the identification of potential mitochondrial DNA matches from a living descendant in 2018. The remains housed in Westminster Alley require royal consent, which has historically been denied to protect the site. Though reportedly, King Charles III is reportedly open to it. So we shall see if anything ever happens with that. But yeah, that is literally one of the biggest mysteries ever. And we could do a whole episode on this shit, which maybe we will, because it's super, super interesting. And it's wild. It is wild. But yeah, that is, I mean, imagine that kind of scandal today. Like, I know that in this case, in this country, we have elected officials, but it's like imagine if fucking like Obama's kids were kidnapped or some shit, just
yeah.
disappeared, or Barron Trump was fucking taken, like it was whew. Crazy, crazy. Anywho, uh, um, let me take a little sip of water because I might be choking to death here.
Well, your last one, I kind of talked about one of this guy's wives because I
Yes.
always felt bad for her. But you
He's a
have a
piece
lot
of
more
work.
detail about his entire dating marriage history.
That's right, because we're going to talk about the king who invented divorce and then preferred execution, Henry VIII. So
He
now
kind of
picture
like
this.
made his own religion.
Yeah, basically. So
Yeah.
picture this. It's the early 1500s. There's no Twitter, no CNN, no group chat leaks, just a man with absolute power and a dangerously fragile ego.
No group
So
chat leaks. That's
that's right.
so sad but true.
Mhm. Now, Henry VIII didn't begin as a cartoon villain. He was a young, athletic, educated, charismatic, 6'2", in an era when most men were 5'6" type of guy. He wrote poetry. He played music. He's kind of like the
Gay.
golden boy of England. That's right. And then came the obsession. A male heir,
Air.
Put your hands in the air. He wanted a male heir. Henry's first wife, Catherine of Aragon, had no, Aragorn, that's Lord of the Rings. Catherine of Aragon had multiple pregnancies, with most ending in tragedy. One daughter survived, Mary, but no surviving sons. And to Henry, that wasn't just disappointing, it was catastrophic, because he believed England would collapse without a male successor. Civil War had already torn the country apart before, and he wasn't about to let that happen on his watch. So naturally, he blamed his wife.
It could have been his swimmers. Maybe he
Yeah.
was the problem.
Yeah, well, not according to him. This is why, like, when Julie said, "Oh, man, it would have been nice to live back in those days," it's like, really? You think?
A lot of women died during childbirth.
So again, he blamed his wife. He convinced himself that their marriage was cursed because Catherine had previously been married to his brother. He claimed that God was punishing him with no sons, so he did what any reasonable monarch would do. He asked the Pope for a divorce, and the Pope said no. Now, here's where things get insane, because Henry didn't accept that answer. He didn't sulk, he didn't settle. He literally broke England away from the Roman Catholic Church entirely and founded the Church of England, declared himself its supreme head, and then literally creating essentially a whole religion.
Yeah.
Because he wanted a different wife.
Yep.
Enter
Crazy.
Anne Boleyn.
Yeah,
Anne
that's my
wasn't
girl.
just some random court fling. She was sharp, politically aware, and refused to sleep with Henry unless she married her. Kind of smart. She had him wrapped. So he annulled Catherine, that marriage. He married Anne, and the country split in like religious chaos. Monasteries were dissolved, land seized, people executed for refusing to accept Henry as the head of the church. And what did Anne produce? A daughter, Elizabeth, who would later become one of England's greatest monarchs, ironically, but no sons. So suddenly, Anne went from soulmate to problem. She was accused of adultery, as CMO said, incest, treason, and charges widely believed to be fabricated, again, as CMO said. Within 3 years of marriage, she was beheaded at the Tower of London. So let that sink in. Now, the Queen of England was publicly executed because she didn't give the king a boy. So then Henry VIII, then married again within days. And his third wife, Jane Seymour, finally gave him a son, Edward, and then died shortly after childbirth, because that is the fucking irony. So she became the beloved one because she gave him what he wanted and conveniently didn't live long enough to disappoint him. Then came wife number 4, divorced again. And then wife number 5, Catherine Howard, young and allegedly unfaithful, was executed. Wife 6 survived by basically playing emotional chess and outliving him. So 6 wives, 2 executed, 2 divorced, 1 dead in childbirth, 1 survivor, mostly because he died first. So now let's fast forward. Imagine if the current president of the United States divorced his wife because she didn't produce a son, then accused the next wife of fabricated crimes, then had her killed. Then remarried 2 weeks later like nothing happened and had his ex buried in his golf course. Oh, wait, I've said too much. Got him. Can you imagine? The internet would explode. There would be emergency press conferences, international sanctions, wall-to-wall media coverage. Late night hosts would never sleep. Netflix would have limited series in production by Thursday. Congress would be drafting impeachment articles during the wedding receptions. Hashtag like wife number 3 to stop the beheadings, which would trend globally. But in the 1500s, people grumbled. Some resisted. Many died for opposing him. But there was no like viral outrage machine, no public accountability cycle. If you criticize the king loud enough, you literally might lose your own head. So Henry didn't just have marital drama. He literally altered the religious foundation of an entire country because of it. That's not just a scandal. That's fucking geopolitical chaos fueled by midlife crisis. And that's why he's my number 1 on the list. He a bad boy.
Horrible.
He a bad boy. Mm-hmm. Woo! I feel like I'm spent after all these scandals.
You know what, though? It's like you would think that people would learn from this, but it's still happening today.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's crazy how relatable these cases are to today because we didn't, when we researched this, obviously we didn't plan to make it that way. It just kind of like worked out and you start seeing overlapping things. It's like, wait a minute. So maybe my theory in the beginning here, the show is that the world was even crazier then, but maybe we are going backwards in times here.
like I know dragons aren't real, but when I watch the Game of Thrones, it's easy for me to assume this is an historic like piece of cinema because like a lot of stories I'm sure are based off of like real
like medieval shit
events, you know?
Totally.
So what can you do? Ugh.
Absolutely.
Bury your ex-wife in the golf course. I'm dead.
So, ladies and gentlemen, before the government comes after us, that was our list of the top 10 ancient scandals that would rock the internet today. So, let us know what you thought of the list. Let us know if you know of any scandals yourself, because this is another one that we can definitely revisit, because there's a ton of history that we can look into. So shoot us an email, fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. Again, fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. Not just for this topic, any topic ideas you might have, any emails from the listeners you want to shoot to us. We want to hear from you. That's fratchatpodcast@gmail.com. And also make sure you give us a follow on all social channels at Frat Chat Podcast. That's on Instagram. That's on Threads. That's on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, /X, all that good stuff. You know, make sure to give me a follow as well. Check me out, CarlosGarciaComedy.com. You can check me out on all social channels at Carlos Does the World on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, TikTok, YouTube, Carlos Does World on Twitter /X. Make sure you follow my good buddy CMO here at chris.moore.comedy on Instagram and TikTok, and C More Comedy on Twitter /X. And last but not least, make sure wherever you're listening to it, is it Spotify, is it Threads, or not Threads, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Deezer, good people of India, and your great providers, whatever it is you listen to, make sure you go in there, give us a great review, 5 stars, whatever it is, 10 out of 10, whatever your metric is where you're listening to, do it. It helps us. We are now listened to in over 77 countries in the world. And, we couldn't do it without you. So tell a friend, hit that review, hit those 5 stars, let the people know you love us, and it really goes a long way. So we would appreciate that. Again, 5 stars on all social channels, and give us a follow. With that being said, Mr. Mo, it's time for us to roll. So why don't you please get us out of here?
I motion to adjourn this meeting so I can go bury my wives in my golf course.
That's right. And I second. All right, you guys, I'll be back. We'll be back next week with another edition of the greatest podcast in the history of podcasts in time. It's the Frat Chat Podcast. I'll see ya.
Ciao.